Yeah. Yeah. You know. All right. Looks like we have our carburetor kit. Ordered this Quadrajet rebuild kit from quadrajetpower.com. Got it off of eBay. And the reason I went with this, you know, I have no idea about the quality of it. I'm assuming it's pretty good. It had good reviews. But they put together a custom kit when you give them the carb number. So they send you specific things for your kit, for your carburetor. So I like that. Hopefully it has everything that we do need, and it's got a sheet in here. We'll go through it a little bit more as we go. Even threw in a little mint. Okay, welcome back to the channel. I do appreciate you being here. Dang fly. Cut. Take two. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Thank you guys so much for liking, subscribing, and commenting on the last video on the Trans Am. This week's gonna be a little bit different because it's a struggle. That's just all there is to it. So if you like seeing people struggle and really work hard and really get frustrated, the next 30 minutes, watch it. If you're really not into that, go to the 30-minute mark and start there in this video and you'll be fine. Appreciate you joining me, and hopefully we get some more progress this week. Stick around, fun's coming, maybe. All right, guys, so now I have the Quadrajet from the Trans Am in here in my little workbench. I went to Walmart, and I do this for most of the stuff that I work on simply because it's cheap and it's easy to do. It keeps everything where you want it. But these little oil pan drain pans, like a couple of bucks, well worth the money. You can see the carburetor fits down in it. I can spray it down the way it is. I do have some Chem dip that I may possibly put this in. What I think I'm going to do, though, I think I'm just going to take the top plate off and just have a look. If it looks clean as I think it might be, I'm going to put a gasket back on it, put it back together. And I think we're going to try to put it on the car. Okay, so I'm wearing the old headgear. Big shout out to Alex and Marissa for getting me that for Christmas. I kind of need it. I'm going to do the best I can to film what I'm doing here. I want to kind of look around. You know what's what. Get my safety glasses on. Let them fog up really bad. Yeah, see, this is pretty loose here too, so I think that they had a fuel issue and they tore into it and put it back together just haphazardly. I know some of these screws are longer than others, so keep that in mind. Like that one there. So we have to take this accelerator pump arm off, and usually I have to take a drill bit and kind of punch it out. So we'll get that in a minute. I think there's two more down in here that have to be taken out. There's lots of great videos out there on rebuilding these particular carburetors. So as my videos normally say at the beginning, this is not a how-to, it's a how I did it. You kind of just get an idea of how this linkages and stuff go together and how you remove it. So I'm going to try to tap this little pin out. Are we getting any progress at all? I don't think so. Wish we had some more light for you guys because it's kind of dark in here. And I've decided on some of these projects that I'm doing, especially on projects that really don't belong to me, I'm trying to do good things and bring things back to life, like this particular car here. I'm gonna make an Amazon wish list. So if any of you guys out there would like to pitch in and try to help with the basics of what this car needs, you can help be a part of it, getting these things back on the road, and the help would be appreciated. Alright, so I actually went back a little further than I wanted to on that pin. It kind of flew out on me, but you want to leave enough space in between the pin and the top of the carburetor right here. I hope you guys are seeing this. So you can pry this back in when you go to put it back in. So always just, you know, these things have several different holes. Just try to remember and video and take pictures of how it goes in. This particular one does have a key on it holding it. You see that there? I think you can see that. So we'll pull that off and set it out of the way. Alright. Yeah, every screw on this thing is loose, so pretty sure we're barking up the right tree here. You're going to be tempted to want to pry on this, but trust me, you don't want to do that. Take you something soft, or even if you have to go with a hammer like this big bad boy, and just tap around on it to loosen it up. You do not want to pry on it and cause yourself a lot more headaches later on, because that's exactly what you will do. So I had to dig way back in my tools to find a star that would actually fit this thing, and it was tight. So you're gonna, I thought they were all supposed to be Phillips heads, but obviously not. And this thing's too rusty for me to tell you what size it is, so I apologize ahead of time. And you want to be careful. You don't want to drop and lose all this stuff. You don't want to go beating on it before you do it as well, because we have, try to get this where you can see it a little better. Yeah, those are pretty grimy. You don't want to get this messed up. You don't want to get confused with anything, and you don't want to get them bent or anything like that. We will clean them shortly. Come out of there. Alright, now I bet we get some progress. What you want to bet? Like I said, whatever we do, we're not going to get really aggressive with it. We're just going to ease around with it. Oh yeah, she's pretty nasty in there, y'all. She's pretty nasty. And of course, you see how that is. The bigger hole goes around this. That's free. It should start coming off now. Yeah, she's pretty nasty. I'm gonna definitely have to do a full rebuild on it. That is for sure, because it is nasty. So yeah, definitely gonna rebuild it. When you're taking these gaskets off, you can see this one's already broke. It's gonna happen on some of this stuff, but you want to make note of what gasket goes where, because some of these kits will come with gaskets that you don't need, and it can get confusing. So if you can leave the old gaskets intact as much as possible, it'll pay dividends when you go to putting things back together. And see, there's enough of that gasket right there that I can find one out of the carb kit that'll replace it. I'm pointing out right here, you see how this is cut. Now, obviously it's tore right here, and it shouldn't be. But there's slits here for a reason. They go around here on this, and man, I don't know, that sucker is stuck. That might be a problem. Yeah, but anyway, we'll go put this back together, and we'll show you about that, because it's pretty critical, and you can tear the gasket, make a mess if you're not careful. So here's the accelerator pump. It's pretty toasty. Sometimes in these kits you have to reuse this spring and this keeper, so don't just start throwing things. Gotta keep up with it. That's gonna be hung tight. I can feel it. It's not good. So what I'm gonna do now, this top plate here is pretty much dismantled. It's as far as you need to go down. So I'll set it to the side. We will try to clean these passages out. This is important. You don't want to break these off. There are times where, not just in the Quadrajet, but in other carburetors too, that these they'll come out, and if they do, you know, you have to tap them back in. But these are in here pretty firm. Don't seem like there's a problem there, but this is ready to be soaked. So we're gonna have to dismantle and take off the choke. I'm gonna have to remember where all these things go, and that's where it starts getting a little intimidating. So I'm gonna go ahead and start taking, which this video is gonna help because we get to see where things were hooked up. We're gonna take this off and start doing a full dismantle on it and get her soaking. I'm going to continue to just dismantle as best I can and take as much video as I can so we can see where everything's at. Man, that thing is nasty. I'm really hoping that we're going to be able to, I'm worried we're not going to get that broke free. I may have to watch a video or two myself to see about getting that out. These needles go down. This is a needle and this is a needle here, and they go down into your main jets in the bottom here. But man, this thing is in here tight, so there's no way that that's gonna move. And I don't want to break it. So yeah, I may have to soak it with everything intact. I don't know. You see, I don't like prying on anything in these carbs. You can really tear some stuff up. That's gonna be a problem, y'all. I'm gonna just start soaking it down a little bit. This is where your safety glasses are crucial. But I am glad I didn't just stick this on there and think it was gonna run, because it looked good. Because it would not have, ladies and gentlemen. You see, I've got it leaned here. I'm trying to fill this up to let it soak. And we will take the bottom plate off as well. We'll do a full rebuild. So I'm gonna let this soak as is for just a little bit, guys, and go do a little research about getting this thing out without destroying it, because it's gonna be vital to get that out. Nothing works on this without this being clean and being able to go through here and change the needle seat and all that good stuff. So I'll be back up with you, sir, shortly. So as I was saying earlier, you're gonna wanna make sure that you get to this stage of the process of tearing one of these carburetors down, or any carburetor for that matter. You want to take plenty of pictures and video of how everything was. This is the choke for the carburetor, and it's an air heated choke, so air from the engine intake goes in here and heats this up. But you want to keep it set where it's at, because it's probably set where it needs to be. So I took some white out and just made some marks here. They may not stay, but this is a good way to just kind of index where it was originally. Like I said, you want to take pictures, videos, pictures of everything you can do before you start dismantling, so you can try to see where it all goes back, because this is the complicated part from these carburetors, in my opinion. So that's what we're doing right now. I'm going to start getting a little bit more of this stuff off here, but I thought I'd make sure I took a little extra video and a little extra time here, because you should not be in a rush when you're doing this. You should take your time. If you don't take your time, you will regret it. Alright guys, so I've done a little research and trying to figure out the best approach here. This is actually what would be considered a power valve on a Holley other carburetors, and this is just a Quadrajet's version of it. It's the main power valve, and these metering rods go down into the main jets, and it usually should just bounce up and down, but it's stuck pretty bad. But you don't want to be bending on all this. It's kind of a mess. So what I've decided to do is I'm going to take the WD-40 and I'm going to try to let it all soak in that and see if we get a fighting chance of getting it broke free. Gonna just gently work this up and down a little bit. This may not be doable. Okay, I've had it soaking here right about 10 minutes with the WD-40. There's a nylon gasket type thing that holds in, that you tap down in to get this seated back in. I'm gonna gently try to pry it out. I feel like I'm at a point now where I don't have a lot to lose, so that's just kind of what I'm trying to do right now. I'm gonna try to get that out and see if maybe the penetrant oil can get past it if I get it out. Maybe you guys are gonna be able to see this. I hope so. Ah, it popped right up. That's actually a good sign there. Yeah, now that penetrant is able to get past it, I'm just gonna hold it up and spray some more in there. Yeah, it's draining past it, so you know, got a fighting chance maybe now of getting it. Hopefully you guys are seeing all this. You see there, well, that gasket behind there is totally trashed, but you see a little hook right here. It hooks in here. On the inside of this, and then it'll spin and opens and closes the choke. And we'll get to that when we get back. Get! You know. So this piece here hooked up in here like that, and then this is, and it went over like that. So you get an idea here. We'll just slip it back off, put it out of the way. This comes straight up. This here, flip that over and pull it straight up, and it goes on just like it is. It feels awfully weak. How that's in there. Makes you wonder if that's a vacuum leak waiting to happen. I think I have it tore down as much as I can. We'll try to get this adapter off here, get the fuel filter off, and then I guess we're going to try to soak it as is. So basically what I've done here is I took the chem dip, as you can see, and I poured it over the top of this carburetor, and this is my last ditch effort. I'm afraid it's going to bend these metering rods, and that's going to do us no good. So what I've decided to do is I just poured it in here. I've got it soaking, and I'm going to dip some more up and pour it over this. Now, this is not something you really want to be getting on your hands. You know, I don't know if it's how dangerous it might be, but it's some pretty tough chemical. I don't really want anything to do with it. If we don't get this power piston out of here, then we're dead in the water, and I really don't know what to do other than take my time here to, you know, just let it soak. It's about all I can do. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are. It's been soaking a little while, and if you can see here, which you probably can, I'll zoom in for you. Yeah, I pried on it a little too much, and yeah, it is what it is. I'm going to try to repair it after I get it out, but right now I'm going to try to get the piston out. That's what the piston looks like. I think I'm going to be able to repair this. No guarantees, but I'm going to try. So I'm just going to throw it in there to be soaked and go ahead and start dismantling the rest of the top of this carburetor here, so we can start soaking it individually and continue with the cleaning process. Worst case scenario, I will have to find another piston somewhere. So anyway, this is what we got to work with. This is what we're going to do. Give me a little drink of Dr. Pepper. Alright, here we go. We'll just try to take this pick, work this around. This little plastic piece right here should pop right up off there. Looks like it's gonna fight me too. Come on, y'all. Well, there it goes. Man, look at all the junk up in there. I wouldn't normally soak plastic parts, but I don't think it'll hurt it, so I'm gonna soak it. Man, this thing is filthy. Man, there's so much junk, it's hard to tell what's what. It looks like it's going to be hard to get this thing as clean as it needs to be. There we go. Huh. The needle doesn't look too bad, but everything else is pretty junky. We'll put it in there and let it take a bath. A little spring there. That seat looks brand new. The needle looked brand new. So weird. You really don't want to scrape in here. Supposedly that has some kind of I don't know, plating that you scrape off. I'm using the non-sharp side here to just kind of gauge it. As of right now, I just want to try to get all of it soaking the way it needs to be soaking. Man, what a mess. This may take several days to soak in this one. This plug here is right here by this 721. I'm gonna try to get it off there. I want every orifice on this thing getting soaked. There's really not much more I can do. Okay, so I've let this soak for 24 hours. And man, it is grimy in there. Woo! I wasn't able to fit the entire carburetor in there, so I have the air horn, that's what they call it, which is the top of the carburetor, and the bottom plate. I had to just leave them out, and they'll go in after this main body of the carburetor is as clean as I can get it. I'm going to try to get a toothbrush and really work this over. I'm not going to bore you guys with any more of this though, because we're already at the 30-minute mark of the video and I haven't accomplished a lot. I do like to show my work. That's kind of what my channel's about. I like to show what I'm doing instead of just tell you about it. But that can get boring, and I get it. So I think I've shown you enough. So basically what I'm going to do is continue to clean these parts right here, and I'll bring you back when I'm reassembling. I'm gonna keep researching it. Like I said, I'm not an expert on anything, you know, so I have to kind of learn as I go on some of this stuff too, especially when it goes wrong. And another reason too, I'll bring this up, even though this carburetor is soaking, and it's soaking in the good stuff, you know, this is Berryman's carburetor parts cleaner. Even though it's doing that, these quadrajets have a bunch of small passages throughout the body of the carburetor. And as corroded as this thing was, I can't be for certain that those passages are going to be clear even after soaking it. There's no way to clean out every passage all the way to the through and through mark on these. It's just impossible. And you have to be careful when you're using things like this. You know, that you get from Amazon, or you know, cut and torch tip cleaner. I like using these a lot. But you have to be careful, because when you go in these passageways with these things, if you use one that's too big, or you get it in there in a jammed up way, you can increase the size of the hole. Sometimes that might not matter, but in some instances it might matter a lot. You might get too much flow from air, or you might get too much flow from fuel, and then you're creating yourself another problem when it comes to tuning the carburetor back up. Anyway, so continue to let this soak. Then I'm going to clean it up, and we'll try to put it back together. As you can see, guys, I hope you can see, man, this thing is such bad shape. They say not to scrape it, but guess what? We're going to have to scrape it. I'm at a point now where it's like, you know, the carb is not looking too good. I still have to try to get these jets out of the bottom as well. That's not going to be the easiest of tasks. They are down here. They are right there. Corrosion in this carburetor is unbelievable. Golly, Lord have mercy. I got one broke loose. Oh, damn. This is probably the dirtiest carburetor I've ever seen. I mean, it's just not in that great a shape. You know, you want to be careful not to ruin your jets, because, you know, that's what your metering rods have to go down into, so kind of important. I don't even know if you guys are seeing this, but oh, it finally broke loose. Man, did you hear how tight that was? Unbelievable. I'm going to go against what they say to do and what I know better, but I'm going to have to scrape this stuff up, because we can't allow this, if you see it, we can't allow that to stay in there. So it's got to come off. Likely from ethanol fuel. There's a check ball. Man, this lighting is not working very good, is it? Sorry guys, might not be able to see any of this. There's a screw here and it's got a check ball behind it. I have to tip it over and try to get that out without losing any of it. I don't see the check ball anywhere. Probably corroded in there. Let me search for that. We'll try to see if you guys can see all the crud in here. And this is after soaking for 24 hours. I don't have high hopes for this carburetor making it, guys. Alright, so I have taken these brushes and I have gone through every single orifice that I can go through. Every passage seems to be clear. I've went through all the passages here and on the bottom plate as well. They're pretty gunked up. I have sprayed some Super Tech and been letting the main body here soak in it. I have the piston in here along with the metering jets or metering rods in here as well. It's soaking in actual carb cleaner instead of the chem. I've just been going back and forth, scrubbing, running the brushes all through every port and spraying and just over and over and over again, trying to get it as clean as I can. But I have come to the conclusion this thing's not going to get spick and span. It's not going to get perfection. It's just not going to happen. So what I've decided to do is we'll let this soak a little bit longer, maybe a couple more hours. I'm gonna come back. I'm going to take all of the parts over to the air compressor and blow everything out really good. Then I'm gonna hit it with carb cleaner one more time, and then we're gonna get into the putting it back together process. And I think that's really our best bet. I don't think soaking it any longer than I have is gonna really make that much of a difference, to be honest. It's just the way it is. I think I do have it clean enough with all the scraping that I've been able to do, and with all the brush work I've done. You know, I took the old toothbrush and really just got after it everywhere I could that it would fit. Like I said, ran the brushes, ran the small cleaner through all the holes that are so tiny you can't get anything through them. Did all of that. So it's about as good as it's going to get. So we'll just continue here and then try to put it back together, and hopefully maybe tomorrow morning we'll be able to throw it on the car. Alright, I'm going to try to start assembling what I can. We got that back on in its proper spot. Now in your carb kit, if you've got one like I did from quadrajetpower.com, they come with these little seals. And these seals, I don't know if they are directional or not. You get these seals in your kit. And they're for the shaft that's going to go in here. So we're just going to push one of them in there, just like that. And you should have two of these seals. The other seal is going to go on in just a second, and I'll show you. And if you'll remember, when earlier in the video when we were taking this thing apart, I told you that I felt like the choke mechanism is probably the most difficult part about this if you dismantle it. Now, if you were just going to go in here and put a kit in and really didn't have a lot of cleaning or soaking to do, I probably would just leave the choke mechanism installed. You can avoid a lot of this and make your life a little bit easier. But now we need to put the fast idle cam on, and that would be this guy right here. Alright, how's it go on, you ask? I'll show you. Give me just a second. Alright, so here's your main housing. Here is the fast idle. Okay. You're going to slide that fast idle cam on, just like so. Okay. And that'll go on like so. Alright, you follow that. Here, I'll take it off and try it one more time. Fast idle cam. You want to make sure that this is underneath the fast idle cam. Okay. Give you a good look. Okay, remember I told you there's another seal. This seal goes inside on this shaft. I tried to put it in last because it'll try to move on you. It's better if you can get it in there before. I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna pull this out. Come on. It'll be on right there. It went. There it went. Got it. We'll just put this back on like we had it. Goes on like so. Just like that. Alright. That assembly right there is back together. And we don't have our bottom plate on, so we'll have to remember when we go to put this all back together about the bottom plate's going to have a piece of the linkage is going to go against us. Alright. So basically we have our assembly put together. Remembering to put our new seals in. This shaft on the end here has to go through this and connect inside. Now there's better videos out there, guys, that can show you all this than what I can offer. But I'm going to try to do this, and I'll probably just come back and film the end result. But if you want to get this tabs, you got to go back on here, so I'll show you. You're probably not going to be able to see this, but I'm going to try to get it to where you can. You see where that goes in? Right there, you have your rod that attaches to it, but that connects down in there on the rod right there that goes through it. You'll understand if you're looking at it, I think. Like I said, plenty of videos out there with a lot better explanation than what I can give you. Little flathead went on, and you can see how that attachment's on there. You have, I'll pull that out. Hang on. Let me just do this real quick so you can see. This one, it's a flathead. That's how you kind of know it's different than the other one's got a washer on it. That's the one that's going to go in here on the top. To put this housing back on. Screw that down, tighten it down. Okay, now maybe you can see it a little bit better. All that's in place. And I think I have it in the right order. We'll see. If not, we'll have to take it back off, but I think that's right. Alright, so we have the gasket out of the kit because this is a hot air intake, so you definitely need your gasket on there. I'm going to try to do all this. It's kind of hard to do one-handed. Slip the gasket on. Slip that back up in there. Remember, we made some initial marks here. I want to get it back to where I remember it being, and that's pretty close. And this is not going to matter a whole lot right now, just simply because we're not that far. We're not that far yet, so I think that's pretty close to where it was. And even if I have the spring or anything in here wrong at the moment, it's okay. We can always fix that later on. No, not a big deal. So I'm gonna add the screws that go back up on the 3 screws that's got the keepers. We're gonna put them on, and we'll be done with this part of it. These keepers, you don't have to, you know, get them really tight, just snug. One more and then that's put together. So I've got the jets clean, sprayed them off a carb cleaner. We're going to try to get them back in their spot. It's going to be too hard to show you on film, but you know the two spots that they go in. That's what we're doing now. I'm not really sure what this tool's made for, but today is for removing a seat in the carburetor. Come out of there. We're running out of light, boys. Now I have flipped this thing over. I've done everything. Looked down in the hole. I do not see a ball in this carburetor. So, I mean, luckily the kit does come with a new one. I don't want to be double stacking, but I cannot find it in there. I can't find it anywhere on the table where it might have come out. So we're going to go just throw this ball back in there and see if the screw will screw down. So dropped it back down in its hole there, and now we have the screw, and this is what it looks like. We're gonna throw it down in there and see if we can't snug it up. I don't have enough light in here for my own self. It's screwed down like it should, so I guess it just didn't have a ball in it. I'm hoping I moved over to try to get a little bit better light, because I'm having trouble seeing, and I'm sure you guys are having trouble seeing as well. But you can hopefully see down in there we have the jets back in, we have the ball back in, and the screw that holds it down. All right, we want to get the pick and go around here where this needle and seat have to go. Make sure there's not a washer of any type on here, because they should have one. Look there. And you have to look hard because they're hard to see. Oh, I just dropped it. Dang it. See that little washer? You have to make sure you get that off before you put the new needle and seat in, or you'll have two washers there and that will mess everything up. You'll probably have fuel leaking by. So yeah, let's get the new one installed. The new seat, the new washer, come on. I like to go in reverse, back it up before I start actually trying to tighten anything down. See if I can make sure it gets in the right spot. And I'm probably doing some seriously terrible camera work here, huh? I'm gonna be careful not to damage it. Just take your time. I need to order one of those good flatheads, big wide ones for this. I don't have one, so I'm having to go with what I have. So, but anyway, I'm going to tighten this thing down and try not to booger it up. We got the seat installed. Onward and upward, right? There's a little keeper in there that we got to put on here. Pray for me. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see that, how small that is, but that's the hook we had to put on to the needle. Good times. I'm going to try to get the needle and seat put in. Just like that, I think. Oh, looks good. I've worked on this as much as I can. I'll do the best I can. Get this reinstalled. good as I could get her. All right, well, as you can see, I got the black piece back on here. I guess some kind of keeper for the float and stuff, but I did have to remove our metering rods here, and I was cussing too much to record it, y'all. The third time I've had to take that out because I got ahead of myself. So I have it in there now, and let me tell you something, it is tough to get those metering rods into the jets when you can't see them. So that's something right there that, yeah, no fun. But we have it in there now. We're going to continue on here with the rebuild, and we're getting close to having everything we need in here. So yeah, not bad. Check the float height real quick. Looks good. So I'm going to put a little bit of WD-40 on the seal here for the accelerator pump, and that way it's just not in there dry when we start here. I think it'd be a good idea. Yeah, just like that. As I said earlier, there are plenty of other channels and other videos that are going to explain this a lot better than I can, and that do it a lot better than I can. What I'm going to try to do is do the best I can, and you're going to see nothing but my hand if I do it that way. So you got the little bitty cuts right here because you have to go around all this crap. So yeah, you gotta be gentle. I might have to just do it and then try to show you the aftermath. Like that, maybe? There, I got it. Alright. That all looks correct. This is where it gets doing all this without tearing a gasket. There we go. Yeah, just like that. And then, as long as I'm not missing any parts, we should be pretty good here to try to get this completely put back together. Put the air horn on and let her bump. Manipulating all this, getting it where it needs to be. I think I did. Alright, just like so. You know what, I'm gonna go ahead and put some screws in first. I can't put the two long ones in yet because we don't have the bottom plate on, so they can't go all the way through, but we can start putting the others on. Is that right? I think it's right. They're the same size, so I guess it's got to be right. Right. You know, we'll tighten these up and then move on to the next. Alright, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the two little ones that go on the inside there, then this one back up here. Like I said, we have the two long ones left that we can't do anything with because we don't have the bottom plate on yet. I'm going to start working on that in a few minutes, but just giving you a little update on where we're at. I'm going to go ahead and add the little thing here for the choke, and I'll show you how I'm doing that real quick. remember this rod here that we had to hook to all the choke mechanisms earlier? That all hooks back onto here. So it's going to be cantankerous. And I have no idea if this is all correct yet or not, so. Yay. Ta-da! Alright, gonna try to get our secondaries put on, if I don't drop everything. Dang it. Hopefully you're gonna be able to see what I'm doing. Basically, we're just trying to get them to go back in their spots. Just like that. All right. Good deal. Progress. This is the fuel inlet, and it gets screws on the front of the carburetor. On this particular model, it's a straight fitting instead of the sideways. On a lot of Chevys, it's sideways. This is straight. But anyway, it pretty much consists of this little gasket here. It's a plastic gasket. You should have one in your carb kit. You do want to change this. It's prone to leak if you don't. And you have a fuel filter. This is the old one. If you'll notice in the end here, it has this plastic, well, it's a little rubber insert. The fuel filter that I got in the kit does not have one. I'm going to take this off and I'm going to put it in the new filter. Like that. Then we're going to stick that filter in like that. We have a new gasket here. We have a new spring. Put our spring in. Screw that on. We'll snug that down. And that part will be done. So I'm not 100% sure that I'm putting this on right, but we're going to try it anyway. I believe it goes here. So remember, this hose goes on this, like so. I'm guessing that's how it rides. We'll see if it bumps into anything after I get it put on, and if it does, then we'll have to go back and look, see if we can figure it out. I think that's correct. See how this one is closed up? It looks normal. This is normal. This is normal. See how this one is lifted here? I think it's on the exact same side of the screw, airflow mixture screw, that was in all the way and tight. There's something going on right here on this carburetor. Anyway, I'm gonna have to try to bend this back down some and hopefully not mess it all up, to get it kind of straightened out, because it is not straightened out. That's a pretty big gap, honestly, and that's not gonna work. So got to get that bent down. Wish me luck. So I took this out. I had to. I took this out, laid it on the board here, and I just flattened it with this little hammer. Got it as flat as I could get it. My battery's about dead on this thing, so I'm gonna try to do this as quickly as possible. Basically, just put the new gasket on. There we go. Yeah. All right, we got it put back on. I'm just going to put the screws back in, tighten them down, and we're done. All right, so we're trying to get the accelerator pump back on. And if you remember when we took it apart, we had to pry this back out here. Basically, what we're doing is we're taking this and we're going to just put it in the same spots that it was in when we took it out. So it's kind of tricky because you do have to hold this accelerator pump down. And I'm not sure if it went in the first or the second. really not sure. But I think we can do either one right now and change that in a minute if we need to. The main thing is going to be trying to get this lined up. Try to use the pick to get the hole lined up. That's what I'm going to try to do. Like that right there. Went a little further back than I'm going to with this dial pin. But when we took it out, but it is what it is. There it goes. When you're prying against it, you gotta be careful. You don't want to break this off. So I just kind of do short little jerks here, and eventually it will go. Just like that, and it's in. Alright, I'm back out at the car now, and I was about to go buy some bolts for the carburetor, and look what I found. Yeah, it's a good sign. Okay, so here's what I've decided to do. I'm gonna go ahead and put all of the components that I took off back on, and just get the car completely buttoned up, and go from there. I'm pretty sure that, looks like to me, that water pump looks like it might be a little bit crooked where it's going in there. I don't know, it might not be, it might just be my eye. But I don't have a lot of faith in that water pump. But I'm gonna get the fan back on, the belts back on, and I'm not gonna worry about the air conditioner right now. I'm just gonna make sure it's out of the way to where it's not gonna hurt anything. Something I did notice while I was in there fumbling around, I don't know if you're gonna be able to see it on camera or not. See that green stuff going down the outside edge of the radiator there. Either the radiator's leaking or that hose over there has been leaking. So that's gonna have to be paid attention to and addressed. And get the plugs back in. That's gonna be the goal. It's starting to turn off colder here again, so this project might be back on hold until we get a little bit better weather. I hope not, but when you're working outside like this, you kind of, you know, you got to do what you can do. Anyway, I'm not going to bore you with this. You know how it was on there. It's going right back the way it was, kind of like this. And it's back on. As you can see, we're missing the power steering belt, and I don't want to talk about it. Moving on. All right, let's look what we're working with here. Ow, that hurt. All right, looks pretty simple, right? Just lay our carb on here. Ooh, and we'll have to do some cleaning on that. I didn't see that right there. Yeah, we'll have to clean that one out. Hold that thought. I don't want to mess up those threads. Then we'll shoot some carb cleaner down in there and try to blow a lot of that out. Alright. So I assume this has to be on here. If I'm wrong, I'm sure someone in the comments, when these master mechanics will correct me. I'm gonna say it goes like so. I'm gonna have to have both hands here and try to use this new little tripod to set you guys where you can see everything, but absolutely no guarantees. Man, there is so much stuff. It just looks like a spaceship. There's so many wires and hoses, and pretty daunting, honestly. I'm gonna snug all these up, make sure I'm not pinching anything, and then I'll be back with you. Here, I had to take the carb back off. I forgot the spout on the back for the brake booster, so I had to
had to mess with that. No big deal. I have no idea what the torque spec is on this. I'm just gonna go till it's pretty snug and that's it. I guess I'll go in a crisscross pattern here. This carburetor is gonna be a very short-term thing. I believe, honestly, I think we try to get the engine running off of it and that's about it. I'd like to find another replacement quadrijet, not a remake either. I'd like to find an original. I might put the number for it here, and if anybody's got one, if you want to part with it, try to help with the project, maybe we can work something out. And because I don't mind taking the kit that I just put in this one and put it in another one, but the way those plates are at the bottom, I don't know how well this carburetor is going to do. Probably not very good at all, but it's what I have at the moment, and I want to try to get the car to fire off so we don't have to have much to do that. Anyway, I'm going to finish tightening this up, save some battery. I'll be back. All right, y'all. I have all the plugs back in, replaced the one I broke. I've got all the linkage hooked up, I think, correctly over here. Not 100% on that. But we do have a bunch of vacuum stuff that, man, it's just, I went back with where I see stuff would have went. But I'm going to have to probably just block a bunch of stuff off because I have no idea, you know, where it went. And there's hoses that aren't here anymore. So yeah, I guess that's what I'll probably do. I'll just start blocking off the ones that I don't see have a place to go. And because that's all I can really do. It sucks, but that's the way it is. So that's what I'll do. I'll block off all these extra ports. Anything that's wide open, I will block off. And we'll be done with that. I think I have everything hooked back up on the carburetor. The carburetor is installed. I do not have the fuel hooked up. I'm not going to, because you've seen the previous video with the crap coming out of that tank. So this thing's not gonna like just run, because you really need a line hooked up and fuel going to the carburetor there. I'm gonna try to just plug that off with a rag long enough to get this thing to hit off, I'm hoping. I'm gonna try to hook this other hose over here to the fuel inlet line and try to get it running out to a bucket in case the car starts pumping. We'll pump that old gas into something else, not all over the engine and not into the carburetor. So that is pretty much where we're at right now. And I'm just trying to make sure I'm not forgetting anything. And anyway, we're as close as we're gonna get. And like I said, I'm just gonna pour some enough fuel down in it to see if it'll pop off. If it pops off, I'm stopping right there. And then I've got other things to try to work on, like get the oil changed, get the fuel tank cleaned out, and all that. So it's a process, guys. And this is gasoline, it's not Dr. Pepper. We'll try that. Like I said, we just want it to pop off, and that's pretty much it. I'm gonna set you guys up out here. Cross your fingers. Yep, moment of truth. Oh man, couldn't get my hose to go on here, so I'm gonna have to, I'm resorting to another American classic, the Dr. Pepper. Yeah. Come on, Devin, send me some luck, buddy. Way too much. She fired right up. Wow. Kind of wasn't expecting it to fire off that quick. It did backfire. I guess that could be from anything, but that's a success. I believe this thing will run. You know, it could be out of time. There's a lot of things that could be going on here. We'll get some more gas down in it. I guess we'll try it again. And I was looking in there as it cranked over. We finally have 50 pounds of oil pressure. So I'm feeling good about that as well. So I'm gonna turn it over again. I'm gonna just keep adding a little gas here. You know, the engine does have a little bit of a lope to it. A little bit of uneven compression, but that could be a ring that's kind of froze up. And man, that thing is pumping out some gnarly fuel. If you can see in there or not, I guess I should have took the label off. You see the nastiness that fuel pump's pumping out. I need somebody in there, or I need a switch out here to run it, and I have one. But getting down there to the starter to hook it up is no bueno. I want to show you the oil pressure here. We're gonna get this thing running, guys. Feeling pretty good about it. Pretty good. So, yeah, victory. If I could dance, I'd dance. But for right now, I'm gonna stop this show. I'm gonna cover this thing up in case we get a little dew or any moisture or any rain, and prevent any problems from happening here. And then get back out here tomorrow, and I will see. It'll be pretty quick for y'all. It'll be kind of like that. All right. Wants to go, but it just ain't going. All right, so we were able to get it to pop off. Now, there's no guarantees this car is going to run. That's just a preliminary startup. You know, you could get it going and heat it up. Head gasket be blown. Could throw a rod. You don't know. But what we do know is that we did get it to fire up, and we do know that we have terrible weather moving in. So this is probably going to be it for this video. Thank you guys for joining me. I am going to put a link to an Amazon page with some stuff that the car is going to need if it's going to run. And if you guys want to pitch in, you can head over there and drop ship something from there. If not, that's fine too. But there's a lot to be done to try to get this car going. Is the facts. But thank you guys for joining me, and hopefully have another video out to you soon. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you guys for joining me. We'll see you next time.